Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am Violette Ayala. I'm the founder of FemCity, and you're joining us today for our Wednesday Wisdom. And our theme for the month of January is all about money. So we're talking a lot about money over at FemCity this month. I love it. I love talking about money. I love helping women make more money. I love helping women invest, make even more money. So this conversation is always really great to have. Today, we're talking about poverty mindset. And the reason why we're talking about poverty mindset is because before we can teach you through our classes about investing and saving and making more money and multiple streams of revenue, we've got to get this poverty mindset squashed and taken care of. And throughout the last 2 years of the pandemic, we have seen more and more femmes obviously go through harder times, myself included. I mean, it's just been a hard time for everyone. I don't know one person who's been like, yeah, it's not been so challenging. I think everyone's had some challenges. And so that poverty mindset can seep in. And when you have a poverty mindset, it loops you back into kind of a spiral situation. So you know you have a poverty mindset if you are looking at the world as a place of lack. If you say, you know what, I will never get out of this situation. I will always be poor. You also look at the world through a lens of scarcity, right? So if you see Karem or if you see Carol succeeding, you innately feel that you can't succeed either, or rather, you can't succeed at all because they're succeeding. If they're growing and thriving, you feel like that's taking away from the success that you can have. So and which is fine. If you have a poverty mindset, we're going to help you today to get out of it. I think most humans dive into poverty mindset. I myself I've had a poverty mindset. I've created a tremendous amount of wealth, lost it, and then went back to a poverty mindset. So I have been at both ends of that. So our intention today, collaboratively and collectively, is to help our femmes get out of a poverty mindset so they can start really looking at their money. They can start looking to see what's working, what's not, how to make more money, how to create wealth. It starts in this place right here. If you have any questions for us during our time together, please feel free to ask questions. You can also private message me later on if you want us to have more classes geared towards this topic. Of course, we still have, another 11 days at FemCity, so we're definitely still talking about money. And we do have a money series coming up in April to talk about saving, investing, and diving into that course a little bit more based on the request from our members. So let's go ahead and introduce our panel for today. I've asked these two beautiful women, inside and out, to join me today to have this conversation. They are from our FemCity global program, which means we work a lot together. We meet weekly, which I love. I loved seeing you guys just a little bit ago over in the global program, virtual connection that we do. Carol Ward is also our FemCity Richmond Hill co-leader. She's amazing. And Karem is also very involved with our Palm Beaches, FemCity Palm Beaches community, and a couple other South Florida communities. Since she's a global member, she definitely hops over down to Miami, which I love to see as well. All right, so let's dive in. Carol, do you want to share anything about your background? You are a money coach. You help people get out of icky money situations. You got a CPA also in your title. Anything else you want to share about yourself?
No, I think that's good. Yeah, that's who I am.
Perfect. Perfect. And Karen, just for those that don't know Karem is also a mindset coach. Karem deals more with mindset shifts, where Carol specializes in money. So you can see why the two of them are so powerful for today's conversation. Karem also uses a lot of intuition. Karem, anything you want to add to that?
No, that's good. That's all good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right, let's dive in. All right, so Carol, we're going to go alphabetical order. Carol, what are 3 tips that femmes that are looking to get out of poverty mindset can start doing today? Because we love action plans. We can do a lot of this, but we need to start really doing action. So what are those action steps that you recommend?
So first of all, having a poverty mindset can be limiting. It can really hold you back. And indications of this is if you have a lot of debt. You've got big debt. You are spending more than you're bringing in. You're overspending. You're not at a financial state or have the financial wealth that you expect to have at this stage of life. These are all indications of a poverty mindset. And this poverty mindset is really caused by the beliefs that we have. And our beliefs are caused or formed in our childhood years from 0 to 7. You may have seen your parents fighting over money and figure out money's not good, so I'm not going to have it when I get older. So when you start working, what do? You overspend. You spend it all, and then you wonder why you don't have your savings. Or Someone in authority may have said to you, you're not smart enough, you're not bright enough, you're not going to make it. And you felt so sad and caused you to think you're not good enough. And over time, over and over, you say you're not good enough, you're not good enough. You then form this belief that you're not good enough. And all of this causes you to play small, to stop from taking opportunities, to not growing, to start doubting yourself, not taking any new initiatives because you're scared you may fail. So all of this poverty mindset, it's limited and it holds you back. So in order to get out of this poverty mindset, I will share 3 tips today. And the first one is positive self-talk. Positive self-talk, it is so powerful. You can say to yourself, I am releasing that old belief that I'm not good enough, and I will replace it with this new belief that I am enough. I am enough. I am good enough. And just saying that over and over every day to yourself, repeating it, being persistent, being consistent with it every day, it will cause your belief to shift. So now you will be in a positive place. But if you speak positively to yourself, it will definitely help you along. If you've got that volume and tonality that you're not good enough, you never do things good, it will bring you down. But if you change your tonality and the volume and say, hey, you're doing the best you can, you are really good, take a chance, it will become your own cheerleader, in other words. And yes, the old negative thoughts and beliefs may pop by, expected, it will pop by. But what you can say is, you've served your purpose. You've caused me to be limited, caused me to be sad. I'm releasing you now, and I'm replacing you with a new belief. And now the second tip that I find really helpful for me is gratitude. I write in my gratitude journal, and just the act of writing a gratitude journal, the way the feelings that I have. I mean, you can be angry and sad and be grateful at the same time. It just doesn't happen. When I'm in a gratitude state, I feel light, I feel energized, I feel like I can do more. It just gives me that wonderful, overwhelming feeling. Another one that I love, my third tip, is meditation. Meditation for me is really, really powerful. It causes me to feel relaxed, to be at peace. It opens, I think it just raises my vibration. I'm on a different level. I'm open to receiving and giving on a different level. And once again, I feel energized and I feel I can take on new things. So by changing out your poverty mindset and replacing it with positive self-talk, doing your gratitude journal, doing your meditations, it will put you in a positive state where now you're open to learning new things. I mean, I love to learn new things. I'm very curious, and we're all human beings. Human beings are curious by nature. That's the only way we grow, is by being curious, learning new things. So yeah, changing out from the poverty to the positive. Those are the 3 tips.
Love it. So I took some notes. Yeah, I took some notes. So first, one of the things that you mentioned, repeating the positive words over and over and over again. And I want to highlight this piece because I know there are some femmes out there that are saying to themselves, I feel like a fraud. When I say that, when I do those things, I feel like a fraud. And I love that you mentioned to say it over and over and over again, because what starts to happen is at the beginning, you feel like it's fraudulent, right? Because you're not feeling that. You really aren't. You're feeling down in the bottom. You're not feeling like you are worthy or that you are enough. You're feeling really, really horrible. But if you keep on saying the words, even if it feels inauthentic, even if it feels like it's totally not you and you are a fake and a phony, eventually you start hearing the words over and over again and you start believing it. It's very similar to when you're in a very sad state and you pretend to laugh, right? You then start feeling better, because even if it's a pretend laugh and it's fake, eventually you do it enough that you start feeling better about yourself. So it's very, very similar. So I know we may get some messaging about that. So I just wanted to highlight that. And I love that you mentioned also, when we're in that state of poverty, in a sense of thinking about the doom and gloom and how we're never going to get better and how things are going to be always awful. And for the last 2 years, yes, it has been awful for many of us. One of my spiritual advisors told me many years ago, and I've shared this through the accountability program over the last 2 years. And every time I share it, I always get like love from our members saying, thank you so much. So I'm sharing it with that intention, is that when we worry, when we think about how we're always going to be in this state, how things are never going to get better, this spiritual advisor told me it creates like a cloud over your head. Envision like a very dark gray cloud, like a thunderstorm one. And every time you have those thoughts, that is what kind of comes on top of your head, and it blocks better thoughts. It blocks better opportunity. It blocks changes in your mindset because it's hovering on top and it's blocking everything that's about to change. So, thinking about that, anytime you have worrying or thinking things are going to be bad again and how you're going to always be in this state forever, that creates that cloud. Really be intentional to say, you know what? I'm thinking those thoughts again. And now this thing is going to be hovering and I don't want it to hover. I want to make sure I release it, which also I love that you mentioned releasing. Some can do routine. If you want to go ahead and release that thought, you can put a piece of paper, you can burn it, you can crumble it up, you can tear it up. Whatever the routine is that feels good for you to release that self-limiting thought that you're always going to be poor, that you're always going to be on the bottom, that you're never going to rise to the top, that you're always going to be struggling. Those kinds of self-limiting beliefs, you know what? Like Carol said, write it down. Whatever practice, routine, just say bye to it. It's done. Say bye to it. Eventually it will leave. It won't leave the first time, but eventually it will leave. I love also, of course, meditation. I love meditation. So for those that are out there saying, I don't know how to meditate, I don't know, we have classes for you. So head over to FemCity and you can literally search for meditation. We have a couple of classes taught by a couple of our experts, so you can kind of get a feel. But meditation changed my life. So I'm so happy that you mentioned that. Of course, gratitude. When you're thinking about gratitude, you can't think about the self-limiting beliefs because you're in a state of like, okay, what can I be grateful for? And again, you might be saying, I have nothing to be grateful for. I have nothing at all. If you're watching this, be grateful that you have electricity. Be grateful that you have some sort of connection, right? You're paying for Wi-Fi or you're accessing Wi-Fi. So it means you're probably indoors as well. Those are blessings right there. Start from there and work your way up. All right, so we have some comment. All right, so Erin, we love Erin. We love Erin's laugh. We love her spirit, and we love when she snaps her fingers. For those that you know, Erin Tar, love her. Okay, let's go to Karem. Karem, what are your tips, your action steps for those that are looking to get out of poverty mindset?
Oh my gosh, girls, like you can basically cover the whole thing just in different ways, right? But for me, what I tend to focus is, and it's nothing different than what Carol and Violet has been saying, but it's those money blocks. And I think that in order for us to really recognize where we want to be, we have to recognize where we're at and what is the thoughts that we're having. And those thoughts lead us to having answers and clarity that we do have money blocks. And we all do because we're human beings and we tend to react instead of respond to circumstances. So what are the money blocks that you're having? Is it that you're fear of having success because maybe you've previewed success from other people and you don't like how they are or who they've become? Is it drama in your life? Is it something that you need to, release the drama or clear up the drama, the chaos, Is it focusing on the missing, which is so easy to do, is us always focusing on what we don't have, right? And when we're focusing on what we don't have, then that's what we're communicating to the universe. That's what we are vibrating. And so the results are equal to what we are expressing to the universe. So it's really about recognizing the money blocks that you have. It's asking ourselves questions like, am I truly afraid of being successful? How would that look like? Like diving in deeper into the questions that literally will bring clarity to the confusion, because the worry comes from lack of clarity. That's where the worry and the frustration comes from. It's because you're focused on what is happening or what your limited five senses is allowing you to see, because we can only perceive a certain distance, but we don't know what's happening around us. So we tend to play the victim instead of being the victor, right? Like instead of being the person that is going to respond to the circumstances. So for me, that's really huge, because once you know what your money block is, then it's like Carol and Violet said, what you do is you define it, and then you flip it, understanding that everything has two sides to it. You can either look at the negative side, or you can choose to look at the positive side. And this is where the power of choice comes in, right? So you recognize the money block, and then you frame it in the present tense to favor you, to serve you, right? And then one of the exercises that I do a lot and that I give to my clients is take that affirmation and say it in the mirror 3 times a day, right? 3 different times, repeat it and say it. And yes, it feels uncomfortable at the beginning, but first of all, what's the power of doing it in the mirror? You're telling yourself, you're talking to yourself, right? You're really, and you start to face the uncomfortableness that you have by saying those things to yourself. And it's the same way that you can write it out, right? But what happens? It's that the repetition and the consistency starts to create a belief. It starts to open up space, because what you're doing, you're fertilizing yourself. You're literally, like I say this 1,000 times, your garden is your mind. And the more goodness that you pour into it, the more it blossoms. And so what do you want to do? You want to speak to yourself. And I tend to tell my clients, first speak to one eye and then speak to the other eye, and intentionally, and you'll see the power. You'll feel the power, not the first time or the second time, but after a couple of times, you're going to feel the power that there is when you speak to yourself in the mirror. And then the other thing that my third tip that would be is, and it has to do with meditation. Yes, because it brings the ease and and it relaxes you. But understand, ladies, that if we don't embody the emotion of what it is that we want, then our actions are empty. I think it is the thought that creates the emotion, and the emotion that leads us into action. And so the consistency and the affirmations, right, will start to create an emotion that will lead you into action. So the meditation is the only way, because if you're feeling uncomfortable, you don't know from where you can possibly pull a good feeling. So when you tap into a meditation that is guided for wealth, for money, it is a beautiful way for you to dive in and embody those emotions for those couple of minutes. And that when you embody that, you start to feel better. And that feeling better starts to create a different action for you. And so what happens is that then you start to act differently, starts to take different action, and you start to get different results. So it's really important for us to just embody the emotion of who or what it is that you want.
Love that. All right. So, so many golden nuggets there. Okay. I took my notes. How fun. I took my notes on a check that I already deposited. So, all right. So I wrote down a couple of things that I want to pull out and highlight that you shared. Awesome things that the two of you shared. I love the beginning where you said where we're at. You need to figure out where you're at. And it comes through calmness and stillness. Sometimes when we live on a kind of a busy street, and I hear people driving by and they have like really loud music, and I love loud music. I love dancing. But you're not going to find that stillness, that calmness to see where you're at when you're in that state. So loud TV, loud music, chaos, when you feel uncomfortable with being with yourself in a very calm and peaceful way, that's generally that you're preventing something. You don't want to change. You're pushing yourself to stay where you're at. But really, I know it's horrible and uncomfortable because I've done it. When you start sitting with yourself, by yourself, calmly, and you start processing your thoughts and you start processing all those self-limiting beliefs, that is where you find that place where you're at. You can start hearing where you're at. What are the stories you're telling yourself? What are the narratives you keep repeating? What are the things that you are intentionally holding back? I think it was you or Carol that mentioned intentionally playing small, because if you are intentionally playing small, that's a whole other conversation. You're not giving to the world all the beauty that you have. And I love that you said ask questions, like asking the questions. And it came to me as I was listening to you. Ask yourself this question: if I make more money, what will happen?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think about myself when I was in a poverty mindset. If someone had said, Violet, if you make money, what will happen? I would have said, so-and-so won't like me. So-and-so may judge me. It means that I'm selfish. If I make money, it means that I'm one of those evil kind of, because at the time I envisioned really wealthy people to not be people that have conscious or that are moral. I didn't know anybody until I got to be a bigger entrepreneur, that I started meeting people that were doing great work in the world, that were social impact, that I realized, oh my gosh, you can make a huge difference in the world, be of impact in a beautiful, positive way, and still earn money. That's that sweet spot. So ask yourself that, because if you are kind of figuring out what's going on with your mindset when it comes to money, if you make money, what will happen? Your response will then say, oh my gosh, it's so silly. I can't believe I thought these things. So that was great that you mentioned. And then 2 more things that you mentioned. Flip it, because there's 2 sides to every story. Oh my gosh, that was so good. Oh my gosh. So yes, we all know there are 2 sides to every story. We know that, like, especially if you have divorced parents or divorced friends, or, there are 2 sides to every story. Why would it not be the same for you? 2 sides to every story. The story that you're sharing is one story. Flip it. Oh my gosh, that was brilliant. And then the last piece is, because I know we have to wrap up. I've made us now go over time. Feed your mind. When you said your mind is the garden. I love that, because if you're surrounding yourself with people that are also of poverty mindset, and if you are also hanging out with people, whether it's the things that you're watching on TV, the books that you're reading, the content you're watching on social media, maybe someone's, has that poverty mindset. If you are surrounding yourself in that garden, guess what kind of flowers you're going to grow, right? Using that analogy that Karem, if you are feeding yourself and people around you are of wealth mindset, if people around you, you're reading the books, you're watching the TED Talks, you're getting on the YouTube, guess what? That is going to create, right, more abundant flowers that are filled of wealth. So love that. All right. So we had some love that came through. All right. Aaron, of course, so many golden nuggets. And Meg, I love the idea of visualization and to flip it. And then Juanita, excellent tips. Okay, awesome. All right, ladies, final tip. We ran over. I'm sorry about that. It was me taking notes from the 2 of you. Carol, how can Femmes find you to learn more about the work you're doing in this world?
So I'm under Facebook, Carol Ward. I'm on Instagram, Carol Ward CPA, and I have my Facebook group, Money Matters with Carol.
Love it. And Karem, how can Femmes find you to learn more about the work you're doing in this world?
Absolutely. You can find me on my website, which is mindfulwithkarem.com. And from there, you can find me in all social media platforms. Absolutely.
Love it. And then Arlie says, thank you. Arlie, so great to see you here with us, another global member. So many beautiful love notes coming through. Thank you so much. And then again, for those that are FemCity members, we have the meditation class over in the library. We have a ton of other wealth mindset classes there too, and some worksheets. So head over there for sure. Take advantage of that. We've got a great worksheet this month. That's actually free for anyone. You don't have to be a FemCity member. You can just head over to FemCity and download that worksheet and work on your money story. And we wish you a great week. We'll be back next week. Let us know how these tips helped you. We can't wait to hear about how you squashed all that poverty mindset and you're moving forward. Thanks so much. See you next time.
Thank you, Violet.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.